football now, and we'll start with this evening's game. There's a full programme of fixtures this weekend, but there's one taking place in the Canada Life Premier League this evening, and it's quite an intriguing one at Mullinacloy. St John's taking on Douglas High School Old Boys. Old Boys go into it looking to make it 5 games unbeaten, but St John's, who are on the same amount of points, they got a very commendable draw, 3-3 draw against St George's last week.
Absolutely superb result, because I don't know if you tracked the scoring. It was 3-1 at half time with about 8-10 minutes to go. St George's got one back, 3-2, and then about a minute later they scored the second one to make it 3-3. But great performance by St John's. They look fit, sharp, but if you can't pick yourself up when you're playing arguably the best team on the island, then you've got to question why you play the football sort of in the Premier League. And Rick Holden obviously had done his homework, closed them down, and St George's tried to change the way they were playing with the long ball, and it didn't quite come off for them. But 3-3, great game to watch, but that goes down as a bit of a defeat to St George's, because they don't lose many, they don't drop many points, and for some reason it didn't come together for them last Saturday. And I think St John's will take that into the game tonight. It's always a good battle between St John's and Old Boys. They play this on a regular basis of a night, because they're one of the clubs that love playing under floodlights on a Friday, and I think they're pretty well full strength. The one player missing, I think Stewie Morrison might be missing, but apart from that, everyone's fit, and Andrew Chadwick, I think, is on the bench. And Douglas High School Old Boys, as we all know, have got the 2 boys back from Australia, Craig and Callum, and I think Wayne Kennedy will be quite happy with the way things have gone for the club so far, and they'll be looking for the 3 points tonight.
We say it's a fantastic point for St John's, and it is.
Yeah.
I think many of them would have taken a point before kick-off. We know that teams go out to win every game, but they would have been realistic about it and thought, well, a point is very good, but to concede 2 late on, will they be feeling a bit deflated?
No, I don't think so, because when you go into a game against St George, it's not a question of you defeat it before you go out. You go out and you sort of have a game plan, because you know how they're going to play. They've got good players who shift the ball very quickly, and you just hope that the players that you've got playing for you can step up a gear, and that was evident last week. Harry Rothwell played really well. Rhys Oates played well. Defensively, they looked strong. Damien Petkoff's back from injury, and it just has all come together nicely for them. And if they could get a result tonight against Douglas High School Old Boys, then it really does put them back in the frame for that top 4, top 5. But Railway Cup, because they've played that, you're saying they're on the same points, but they've played a few games more. I don't think they're going to get involved in that, but there's still twists and turns to go on in that one. And at the moment we're running with 2 league tables, which is a bit complicated because there's so many games to play. But no, fair play to them. That's a cracking result, and there's not many clubs can brag that they've had a result against St George's, so that's why they deserve every adulation that they're getting at the moment.
Well, we'll touch on the fixture situation in a second. But the winner of this match, regardless of how many games they've played, they've got the points on the board. The winner, if there is a winner tonight, will go 4th. That's a massive incentive for both sides, isn't it?
Well, it is a huge incentive, but you know what's coming tomorrow. There's a full set of fixtures tomorrow, some juicy ones. The Russian Geordies, St Mary's Corinthians. You've got sort of Peel in there, Douglas Athletic, or should I say Douglas Athletic v Peel. So it'll all change again tomorrow, but I love these Friday nights. I think it's great. It's something new. That if any other clubs got floodlights in, it'd be nice to see that as well. Just maybe on a Wednesday night is to put one in. But with the bowl, it's always busy, so you can't get that one. But no, it's just something totally different. I know some clubs don't like it, but some clubs really respect it, and there's always a good crowd. I
tell you what, Meps, it gets me going when I have a game under the floodlights. There's just something magical about it. I always, when I'm warming up, imagine there's sort of a Sky Sports esque little tab at the bottom which flashes up my name with the amount of goals I've scored, which is 0 for anyone listening there. I think midweek games could be the way forward, and you've touched on it just then. St John's have played 4 games more than Old Boys. Are you worried that if the weather does take a turn for the worse, the table, it's going to, there are large disparities really in the table, the way it reads? Yeah,
well, this time, what was it, 2 years ago, because it was December the 4th, 5th that we had the big flood, and then it just stacked up incredibly. I don't I hope that we won't get anything like that again, but this is purely self-inflicted because of the success on the under-18s and also the senior men. And people say, the under-18s are doing so well. I think that was very evident at the start of the season it was going to happen, because I've always judged it. If you look at the under-18s team, and if a lot of those players are playing first team, then you've got a strong team, and that's what's sort of happened. And yes, they lived life dangerously last weekend, but they got the result that they wanted, and absolutely delighted. And hey, success breeds problems, and at the moment, yes, we've got fixture problems, and we've got games on the 23rd and the 30th of December, which is not something we normally do, the Saturday before Christmas and Saturday before New Year. But with the late start of the season, that's why we brought it in.
Ed Alden will cover tomorrow's fixtures with you on Saturday Sport, so I won't tread on his toes too much. The 3-3 draw with St John's, it's far too early to suggest that the wheels are coming off the St George's wagon, isn't it?
I think when you've seen it before with St George's, where maybe they have a defeat, that the next couple of games they're back on song, is maybe a bit of a wake-up call for them. It was interesting. I'm not saying there's anything behind it, but there was only 2 St George's players at Island training on Wednesday. So whether Chris Bass and Lee Dixon have read the riot act and asked them to step up, because
that would have been incredibly harsh after 1-3 draw, especially as they came back from behind, trailing 3-1 going to the closing stages.
Can do, but Chris is after perfection, and he doesn't accept things like that, and he always tries to keep them motivated, and you get blips like that. But no, they bounced back well. But when I look at sort of players that are at banging form at the moment, nice to see Chris Bass back. Johnny Myers is back from injury, but Furo Davies as well. I watched him on Wednesday at Ireland training, and he's finishing at the moment. He's on fire, so Geordies won't be long in coming back, and they've got a big game tomorrow against Russian.
Exactly, Russian currently in 4th. That's going to provide somewhat of a test for St George's, especially they might still be reeling from the result last week.
Totally agree. I watched Russian last week. First half, I thought they were unlucky not to maybe go in. A couple more goals ahead because 2 were cleared off the line. But that was a test for Peel in the second half to, try and open up Russian. And it was a good competitive game in the second half. But there's some really good players there. Matty Kane, I thought Matty Lamb influenced me, the way they played in midfield. I thought Russian's forward line actually was a little bit too quiet for what they've got up there. And I think Paul Jones and Steve Burns will be looking more from certainly Mikey Williams and also Josh Kelly. But Adam Kajin has gone back. He played for the Combi last week for Russian. I would expect Adam to possibly come into the first team tomorrow. It just depends what Paul's got up his sleeve. But no, Russian are a very good side, and Russian will make it difficult for St George. And I think Russian know as well what's in front of them. If they don't win, then it's going to be very, very difficult for them to put a challenge on for the league, and it would sort of dampen what they thought was a good opportunity to maybe get involved in that championship race.
Well, top flight fixtures tomorrow. Douglas Royal against Braddon, Laxey against Colby, St Mary's against Corinthians is a 2:30 kick-off. Peel travel to Douglas Athletic, and Russian, as we say, are against St George's. All those games, apart from the St Mary's versus Corinthians game, kick off at 2 o'clock. And the best place to keep up to date with all of that is right here on Manx Radio. Ed Alden will have Saturday Sport Preview. Paul Moran here with Saturday Live, and then the classified results show from 5 o'clock.